The night was quiet in the city of Abuja. The streetlights cast long golden lines on the road as Ton Adewale, a 36-year-old civil engineer, drove slowly through the gates of his compound. He had just returned from a 2-month project trip in Port Harcourt, a bridge construction that had kept him away from home longer than planned. He smiled faintly as he parked his black Toyota Camry and stepped out, holding a small box wrapped in gold paper. Inside was a silver bracelet he had bought for his wife, Ngozi. He could already imagine her surprise when she saw it. But something felt strange. The house was too quiet, the lights dim. He frowned slightly. Normally, Ngozi would rush out, smiling, shouting his name, "Turned, you're back." He unlocked the door and stepped in. The faint scent of her perfume hung in the air. The TV was on, showing a romantic movie. 2 wine glasses sat half empty on the table. He called softly, "Ngozi." No answer. He dropped his box on the table and moved toward the bedroom. That was when he heard it, a sound that froze him in place. A whisper. Then a low, muffled moan. His heartbeat quickened. He pushed the door slightly. The sound grew clearer, unmistakable. His hand trembled as he turned the handle and stepped inside. There they were, Ngozi and another man. Time stopped. For a moment, Ton couldn't move. The bracelet box dropped from his hand and hit the floor. The 2 lovers turned sharply. Ngozi gasped. The man, Austin, Ton's longtime friend, jumped out of bed, clutching a towel. "Ton. Please, it's not what you think," Ngozi cried. Ton stared, eyes burning, chest heaving. "Not what I think. Ngozi, my wife." Austin stammered, "Turned, I can explain." But Ton moved fast. He struck Austin with a single punch that sent him sprawling. "Explain it to hell," he shouted. Ngozi screamed. As Ton grabbed a chair, ready to strike again, but stopped himself. His breath came hard and fast. He dropped the chair, turned away, and whispered, "You, both of you, are dead to me." He walked out slowly, tears blurring his vision. Outside, the rain began to fall, as if the heavens were weeping with him. That night, Ton slept in his car, parked by the roadside. His world had collapsed. By morning, the story had spread. The compound caretaker had seen the commotion, and by noon, the neighbors were whispering. Ton packed a small bag, went to a hotel, and stayed there for days, unable to eat or think. His mind replayed the scene again and again. He tried to understand. Ngozi, his wife of 5 years, the woman he had built everything for. They had met at the university. She was studying sociology, he, engineering. He remembered how shy she had been, how she laughed at his jokes, how she said, "You're the kind of man every woman prays for." He had believed her. He remembered their wedding, the dancing, the blessings, her father's proud smile. Everything now felt like a cruel joke. When his mother called, asking why Ngozi hadn't picked her calls, he couldn't answer. He simply said, "Mommy, please, pray for me." Meanwhile, Ngozi was broken with guilt. After that night, Austin had fled. She tried to reach him, but his phone was off. Alone and terrified, she realized how far she had fallen. It had started innocently. Austin had been Ton's close friend, always visiting, helping around the house when Ton traveled. He listened to her complaints when Ton was busy. "Your husband no get your time," he would say with fake sympathy. One evening, loneliness turned to weakness. One mistake became 2. Before she knew it, she was trapped in shame and lies. Now, everything was gone. Her marriage. Her peace. Ton returned home a week later, not to reconcile, but to pack his things. He said nothing to her. She wept, knelt, begged. "Ton, please. I made a terrible mistake. Don't throw everything away." He looked at her with cold eyes. You already did. She tried to touch his arm, he stepped back. Don't, he said sharply. If you touch me, I might forget I'm a man. He left that night, leaving her sobbing on the floor. Days turned to weeks. Ton stopped eating much. He stopped laughing. He buried himself in work. His friends tried to console him, but the pain was deep. At night, he would sometimes wake up shouting her name. Then he'd remember, she wasn't his anymore. He started attending church more often. The pastor, a kind elderly man, told him, "Son, pain can make you bitter or better. You must choose." Ton said, "I can't forgive her, Pastor. She killed everything inside me." The pastor smiled sadly. "Then she still controls you. Forgiveness is not for her, it's for you." Those words stayed with him. Months passed. One night, he returned home late from work and sat alone in his living room. He poured himself a drink, stared at the wall, and said aloud, "Why did you do it, Ngozi?" No answer. Only silence. Then something inside him snapped. He stood up, went to the bedroom, opened the wardrobe, and pulled out her clothes, the bright Ankara gowns, her favorite head wraps. He took them outside, poured kerosene, and lit a match. The flames rose high, bright orange against the night sky. He watched them burn, and whispered, "Rest in peace." Meanwhile, Ngozi's life spiraled. Her family disowned her. Her landlord evicted her. She moved into a small room in Nyanya, surviving on little. Her friends abandoned her. The same people who once envied her now mocked her. "Fine madam don't turn shadow," they said. She cried herself to sleep every night. Then one Sunday, she walked into a church, tired, hungry, and hopeless. She sat at the back, weeping quietly. The preacher's words pierced her heart. Even the worst sinner can find mercy, if they truly repent. For the first time, she prayed, "God, if you can forgive me, please, let me start again." A year later, Ton was promoted to project director. His career soared, but his heart was still heavy. One evening, while driving home in the rain, he saw a familiar figure by the roadside, a woman soaked to the skin, holding a small nylon bag. It was Ngozi. He slowed down, uncertain. His heart pounded. He wanted to drive away, but something made him stop. He rolled down the window. "Ngozi." She turned slowly, eyes wide. "Ton." Her voice trembled. "Where are you going?" he asked. "Nowhere," she said softly. "I was looking for work." He hesitated, then said quietly, "Get in." She climbed in, shivering. The silence was thick. After a while, she said, "You shouldn't have stopped for me." He glanced at her. "And leave you there in the rain? I deserve worse," she whispered. He sighed. "We all do." He dropped her at a small restaurant. Out of courtesy, he joined her for a cup of tea. They spoke awkwardly at first, but gradually the wall between them softened. She said, "I've lost everything, Ton. I thought I was chasing happiness, but I was chasing shadows." He looked at her quietly. "You hurt me, Ngozi. But I'm not your enemy." Tears rolled down her face. "You have every right to hate me." "I don't hate you," he said. "I just stopped trying to understand you." That night, as he drove home, something shifted inside him. Not forgiveness yet, but peace. Weeks later, he helped her find a small tailoring job through a friend. She began to rebuild, slowly. One day, she brought him food, jollof rice and dodo, just to thank him. He smiled faintly. "Still the best cook I know." She laughed weakly. "Don't flatter me." For a brief moment, they almost forgot the pain. But fate wasn't done. One night at his office, a security guard told him someone wanted to see him. It was Austin. He looked older, pale, and sickly. Ton's jaw tightened. What do you want? Austin raised his hands. Peace. I came to confess. Confess. Austin nodded. You need to know the truth. Ngozi never planned to betray you. I lied to her. I told her you were cheating. I even created fake screenshots. I wanted revenge. Ton stared, stunned. Revenge for what? You rejected my company's contract years ago. I lost everything. I wanted to hurt you. But I fell into my own trap. Ton clenched his fist, shaking. You destroyed lives, Austin. You ruined my marriage. Austin's eyes filled with tears. I'm dying, Ton. Liver failure. I needed to tell you before it's too late. Ton was silent for a long time. Then he said, leave. Austin nodded slowly and walked away into the night. Later that night, Ton sat in darkness, Austin's words echoing. He finally understood the full truth. He called Ngozi the next day. We need to talk. When they met, he told her everything. She broke down, crying uncontrollably. So he lied, she said. All this, because of lies. He nodded. You believed him because you doubted me. She fell to her knees. Ton, can you ever forgive me? He sighed deeply. Forgiveness doesn't mean we go back. It just means I'll stop carrying this pain. She looked up at him, eyes filled with tears. Thank you. That's all I ever needed. He smiled faintly. Be well, Ngozi. Some stories are not meant to continue, only to teach. Years passed. Ton remarried to a kind woman named Kemi, who taught him that love could be gentle again. They had a daughter named Peace. Ngozi moved back to Enugu, where she began counseling young women about self-worth and choices. She used her story as a warning. Don't let loneliness push you into destruction, she often said. Austin died. Alone in a hospital, leaving behind a note. Some sins burn slowly, but they always find their way home. Sometimes, on quiet nights, Ton would sit on his balcony, holding his daughter, and think of the past. Not with anger, but gratitude. Because pain had taught him what love never could. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, but it heals the future.